Today's session we are going to talk about unified modeling language use case diagrams. You all are aware that unified modeling language represents a graphical representation, and this UML is used to express designs, right? And today we are going to talk about use case diagrams. When we talk about use case diagram, this use case is an important thing. Here, within a use case diagram, there are a number of use cases. So when it comes to use cases, there are three things which a use case diagram contains. Those things are actors, use cases, and relationships. So actor is a person or another system which interact with your system. Here the system means the software you are going to design, right? So if you have a person or if you have another system which interacts with the software which you are going to develop, that person or that system becomes an actor of your use case diagram. And use case means a behavior. So this use case always describes a set of sequence of actions, and these actions are any kind of interaction between user, the actor, and your software. So when you draw these things within a use case diagram, there are symbols to use. To denote an actor, you have to use a symbol like this, and to represent a use case, you have to use this kind of a symbol, an oval shaped symbol, right? And here, after drawing the actor, you have to write the name of the actor, and after drawing this use case symbol, within that use case symbol, you have to use the name of that use case. So here the name of this use case will always be an action, a verb, but here the name of this actor will be a noun, right? So that those are the things you have to remember when you draw actors and use cases. And the other important fact you should know is relationship. A relationship represent the relationship between actors or else relationship between use cases. Here we have three kinds of relationships named as generalization, include, as well as extend. So in generalization, what we talk about is, here we have a relationship somewhat like a child and parent relationship. You already know about inheritance. So this child will inherit features from its parent. Therefore, when we have a child-parent relationship, we call it is a generalization. And the symbol we are going to use in this case is, we have to use this kind of arrowhead which goes towards the parent from child. So this is the example I have taken to represent generalization within a use case. Assume that your system has facilities to register a student, right? So when you are registering students, sometimes you may have part-time and full-time students. So what you have to do is, you will have to register both those students. So in that case, we can take this example as a parent-child relationship. So the child will be these two groups. First group we have is part-time student group, and the other group we have is full-time student group. So when we are using this within a use case diagram, we will have to draw like this. And there's another thing that can be considered for this generalization. So we know that actors can also have parent-child relationship. So I have taken the same example above for the actors as well. When we have full-time, part-time students, so student will be the parent, and the groups, two groups, full-time group and part-time group, will be the children. And now I'm going to move to this include section. So when we have include relationship, we have to represent that include relationship as similar to this, which I have drawn in blue color. So here I have take A and B. The meaning of this relationship is A includes B. That means when you want to do an activity which is named as A, you will have to look for another activity and you have to complete that activity and come back to. Without completing activity B, you cannot complete activity A. So when you use include relationship, always remember here we have a compulsory task to do, right? So this is a mandatory task. That means this B is a mandatory task to do when you are doing the task A. So when you draw, you will have to use this kind of an arrow, and here you will have to mention this include word here, otherwise you will mix up that include part with extend relationship, right? So don't forget to put this include. If you do not use this include word here, we cannot identify whether it's an include relationship or an extend relationship. And here I have taken an example which is update student and verify student ID. So the meaning of this is when you want to do the activity update student, there is another function to be fulfilled, that is verify student ID. So without verifying the student ID, you cannot complete update student part, right? So that is the purpose behind this. For an example, assume that you want to change the details of an existing student. So before changing those details, you will have to confirm what is that student's student ID. If you do not know student ID, you cannot refer to that student and you cannot update that student, right? So before completing this update student task, you will have to verify the student ID and then you can complete that task. So here we have a mandatory or as a compulsory task to do. So look at the arrowhead. Arrowhead is towards the use case which came later, right? So this is what we are going to include to this update student part. So the arrow is always towards the mandatory task. Remember that, and also remember that you will have to mention this include word here, right? And now I'm moving to extend relationship. Here we talk about optional behaviors, right? So it is not compulsory to use B. Another option for A will be included in B, right? For an example, here I have taken pay invoice, and here we have pay by cash option and pay by check option. So it is not compulsory to select pay by cash or pay by check. You can use both, or you can use any of this pay by cash or pay by check option. So these are optional things. So whenever you have optional tasks to do, at that moment you will use extend relationship. Here pay invoice is the main task, so the arrowhead should always be towards this pay invoice use case, right? And don't forget to mention this extend word here. As I told you before, if you do not use that, you will not be able to recognize whether this is an include or extend relationship. When you look at this extend example, you might think that this can be taken as a generalization example as well. Yes, of course, we can take it as a generalization example like this. But in this case, this pay by cash use case and pay by check use case do not become optional. If you look at these two relationships, I have same set of use cases, and here also I have same set of use cases, but here I have used extend relationship, but here I have used generalization relationship. This generalization means that we can pay invoice using either pay by cash or pay by check. But when it comes to this extend relationship describes that this pay invoice task could be done even without pay by cash or pay by check. In the example which I have taken, what I wanted to represent is, here I usually do this pay invoice tasks using online payment method, and in my system this pay by cash and pay by check are optional activities to do. So therefore, remember, whenever you have relationships within your system, you should mark all those relationships according to what your system will do. So that is the difference between this extend and this generalization. Right? So that is about include and extend relationship. So how we use these things within a use case diagram is given in this part. So here, when we are drawing a use case diagram, we will always have to mark the boundary. So boundary is defined like this. So a boundary is always marked using a rectangle. So within the rectangle, we include whatever the functions, whatever the use cases we have. In this diagram, this student management system is the name of this use case diagram, and I have three use cases here. Two use cases are register student and pay fees, and this pay fees use case and pay by cash use cases have a extend relationship in between. So likewise, all the relationships you have should be mentioned here. If you have relationships for these actors, you can mention those relationships outside this system boundary. So within a system boundary, you always have to mention all the use cases you have, including the relationship which we have discussed as generalization, include and extend. And outside the system boundary, you will have to mention whatever the actors, that means any systems that will interact with your use cases or any users who will interact with your system. And finally, I wanted to tell you this, that assume that you have large number of use cases to draw within a use case diagram. In that case, when you draw all those use cases within the same diagram, sometimes it will not look nice. It will be difficult to draw and will not be able to clearly identify. So therefore, what we do is we divide the use cases you have within your system into a number of groups or number of modules. So when we are doing that, we can use a separate name for those modules, and we can include all those modules within the same use case and mark like this. For an example, here I have taken an example for food ordering system. Here I haven't mentioned all the use cases. This is just an example. Assume that you have large number of use cases to be drawn within this food ordering system. Therefore, what I do is I have selected number of modules. First module I have is manage customer module. So within that manage customer functionality, there can be number of other functionalities, and the other module I have selected is manage supplier module. In this, within this manage supplier module also there can be more functions. So without drawing the functions which we have within this manage supplier and within this manage customer, I have only drawn this manage customer use case and manage supplier use case, and then I have mentioned who's going to do those activities. And after drawing this main use case diagram, we can draw another use cases for whatever the modules we have taken here. For an example, here we have taken two modules. Therefore, we can draw two more use case diagrams for these use cases. That means one use case diagram for managed customer and another use case diagram for managed supplier, right? And here I have taken only one. Up there we had managed customer use case, so it did not describe all the functionalities within the managed customer. Therefore, I have a separate use case for that, and in this separate use case, we have the functions which are included within this managed customer use case, right? So within that managed customer, we can use add customer use case, edit customer use case, or any other facilities you will have to include with it. And then you can draw the actors, and you can mark whether those actors are involved within these use cases. So that's what I wanted to tell you today. So we have discussed about use case diagram, the things which are included in use case diagrams as actors, use cases, and relationships. And we have talked about three kinds of relationships: generalization, include, and extend. And we have discussed about the actors and their relationships, and we have discussed about the system boundary and how we include those actors, use cases, and relationships within the use case diagram. And finally, we have discussed that when we have a large number of use cases, we can divide all those into number of modules without drawing a single use case diagram for your system. So again, remember, here we always describe an interaction between user and your system. Your system means the software you are going to design.